welcome to DIY with Nancy. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm going to make a cinnamon pound cake. It's just made out of vanilla and cinnamon. Beautiful cake. It's delicious and simple to make. So stay with me and watch how to make a cinnamon pound cake step by step. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to mix all the ingredients in this bowl, and I'm going to start off with 1 cup of granulated sugar. To that, I'm adding half a cup of room temperature butter, which is unsalted. I'm going to place that in together with the sugar. I'll be using my hand mixer for this recipe, but by all means, if you have a stand mixer, go ahead and use it. Now, I'm going to keep mixing the butter in with the sugar, make sure it's well incorporated. Next, I'm adding 3 large eggs. Now I'm going to add the eggs one at a time, making sure that each egg is well blended into the mixture. Now once you have a nice and fluffy batter, you're going to just take your spatula and scrape the sides of your bowl to make sure that the ingredients are all well incorporated. And you get a fluffy batter just like this. Next, you're going to add 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1½ cups of milk. Pour that in there. And now I'm ready to mix that together. Okay, I have all my wet ingredients mixed together. I'm going to set it aside and move on to the dry ingredients. I have a piece of parchment paper here, which I'm going to sift the dry ingredients onto using a sifter, and I'm going to start off with 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and I'm going to sift both the baking powder and the flour onto the parchment paper. The next step, I'm going to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. So I'm going to start off by placing half of the dry ingredients into the wet mixture. Now I'm ready to start mixing the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And I'm going to end up with a really fluffy batter. And I like to start off with half of the flour first and then incorporate the balance of it. At this point, I'm going to add the balance of the dry ingredients and mix that all in together. Continue mixing for 2 to 3 minutes, and once you have a fluffy batter, set it aside. To prepare the cinnamon mixture, I'm going to start off with a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I've packed the brown sugar into the 1/4 cup and I've placed it into a separate bowl. And to that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. I'm going to mix that together. And I want to make sure I remove any lumps of brown sugar and incorporate it well with the cinnamon. Next, I'm ready to combine all the ingredients into the cake pan. And before I do that, I'm going to spray my cake pan with some non-stick spray. Just make sure it's well coated. First, I'm going to start off with the cake batter. So I'm going to place the cake batter, then the cinnamon, and then the cake batter, and you get the idea. So we're going to start off with the cake batter first. And I'm going to spread it evenly through the bottom, just as I'm doing here. Tap it, just remove the air bubbles. And next I'm going to start off by placing some cinnamon and brown sugar mixture on the batter. To blend the cinnamon mixture into the batter, I'm using a skewer. However, you can simply use tip of a spoon or a knife. Now that I have my cinnamon mixture mixed in, I'm going to place the last layer of the batter. Once again, a little more of the sugar and cinnamon mixture right on top. Just have it nicely coated. Once again, I'm going to use the skewer to blend in the cinnamon mixture into the batter. And for the last step, a last drizzle of cinnamon and sugar topping. Now I'm ready to place the cake in the oven at a preheated oven of 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, pound cake is out of the oven. Now while it cools, I'm going to prepare the sugar glaze. For the sugar glaze, I have 3/4 cups of confectioner's sugar. I'm going to place that into a bowl. And next I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of milk. And now I'm just going to mix it together. This will be a thinner glaze. I prefer a thinner glaze, but if you prefer a thicker glaze, by all means add an additional 1/2 cup of confectioner's sugar. Cinnamon pound cake has completely cooled. I'm going to take a cake plate, place it right on top and flip it, remove it off, and voila, cinnamon pound cake. Now I'm going to place the glaze onto the top, just using a spoon, drizzling a little bit of the glaze onto the top. Eventually, it will pour down the side, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So once it dries out, at that point, I like to cut into the cake. So I let it sit for a good ½ hour before I cut into it. It's time to cut into the cake. Cut a piece and share with you on how delicious and moist the cinnamon pound cake really is. Of course, we'll take a plate here, and here it is. Okay everyone, that was my cinnamon pound cake recipe. Very simple to make, very delicious, very moist cake. For those of you that don't want to add the sugar icing or on top, by all means leave it out. The cake is going to be delicious just the same. So for all of those that have been watching my recipes and videos on DIY with Nancy, I want to thank you. And I hope you all enjoyed this recipe for cinnamon pound cake. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And until next time, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Take care.